Aloha everyone, welcome back to the first show of Global Hope for this season. This is going to be an exciting one. Today we're going to discuss a lot of the issues that have happened over the past few months. We haven't been with you guys, but there's been a lot that's going on in terms of marijuana, and we got some very special guests here who are going to talk about that. We really appreciate you guys coming. First, before we get into that, I want to just remind everyone, September 18th, 2010, we got to get out and vote, and I know historically there hasn't been very much voter turnout in Hawaii, but I want to reiterate that it's really easy to get an absentee ballot vote. You don't have to show up, you don't have to go in any lines, nothing. They just send you a thing in the mail, you send it in. Couldn't be any easier. I do want to mention first also that we had this clean elections program going for the Big Island, a pilot program. We really got to show support for this program. It barely made it in, it almost got squashed. Now it's here, and I had actually interviewed a couple of clean elections candidates this summer, and they had mentioned that they really felt there wasn't enough of a public broadcast about what clean elections is. So we got to really just take it to the streets and let people know what was going on about it. Before we go into this marijuana issue, this is from the Big Island Weekly. It came out today. Today is September 2nd. And just to show you, if you're thinking about just not voting, what can happen, what kind of different people might just get into office if you just abstain from the voting process. Here's one side, Barbara Lively from District 5 in Puna for County Council. They're asking her, what is the first thing you want to do when you get into office? And she says, I want to fix the lowest law enforcement priority for cannabis ordinance. It should have been a no-brainer, but police and prosecutors are not able to honor that. And she goes on. So there's one person. Same question asked to another guy. This guy's name is Reynard Torres. His response, working hard with police officers on the war on drugs and drug trafficking. He wants to propose a law or statute that would allow officers on plain view observation to search vehicles on the spot without the delay of waiting for a signed search warrant from the judge.
Wow.
So, you know, you may feel a little away from how politics may affect you, but just abstaining and not voting, you're really risking who's going to get in there and what they're going to be affecting in your life. So, without further ado, I'd like to pass this on to someone else who knows a bit more about what happened this summer with Roger Christie and what's going on with the marijuana policy here.
I just want to interject that clean elections, the reason they're clean is because they're going to take corporate and big money out of government and allow the people to run with monies that have been gathered by people who gave $3 out of their taxes. I'm sure many of you have seen this, the $3 checkoff. When you do that, it's created a fund that has $5.5 million in it that is ready to support people who do not want to take money from corporations, bankers, investors, real estate, etc., so that when they're making a decision as your representative, they don't have a little string pulling them.
That special interest.
Exactly. So that's why clean elections are important.
Great. I guess before we start, too, let's introduce ourselves. Let's start from this side.
I'm Saul. I'm a student here on campus and a community member, of course.
My name is Corey French. I am a student.
I'm Noelle Rodriguez. I teach sociology at Hawaii Community College.
Mike Purvis, student.
I'm Mike Ruggles. I'm with the Alternative Pain Management Club.
Robert Patrici, Friends for Justice. I'm one of the people that was arrested for marijuana.
I'm Mike Sato. I'm a student at Hawaii Community College.
So to someone, Mike, do you want to start us off with a little bit of history here?
Okay. Well, recently, let's see, they passed the lowest priority initiative. I believe it was almost 2 years ago. And before it was passed, they warned us in the newspaper, Tribune Herald, that if it was passed, that with the county no longer being able to do the job, that the feds were going to come in and they were going to do it a lot harder. And they were going to be a lot harsher and wouldn't have to follow any laws. Like when Green Harvest was done by the county, they had to stay at like 2,000 feet unless they saw marijuana, and they could drop to 500. Well, the lowest priority was passed even though they threatened us, and then they went ahead and made good on that threat. And so now they've been using a team. How many federal agencies is it, Bob?
I think it's at least 13.
Yeah, it's like 13 federal agencies being supported by the county and the DEA and all these guys. Anyway, now they're flying, and they can fly like 15 feet off the ground. And they're coming in without warrants and landing on people's property, harvesting weed and arresting people, and which is totally against the law. Now, the only way any of these federal agencies have jurisdiction is if the county police assist them. This lowest priority explicitly denies them that ability, and they're going ahead and doing it. And to me, to punish the county of Hawaii and medical marijuana, just because we went ahead and did it right, did the democratic process, had it voted in, you're not supposed to punish us. You're supposed to obey the will of the people. Because it says in the democratic process, the most powerful person in this process is the people. We voted it in. They're not following it. And Brittany's got some pictures and stuff, and we have it on a young man's cell phone as well. But they landed on my property a Sunday past, and we got pictures of it, and we have it on the cell phone. In fact, a neighbor of mine, Dave Tatum, was up front, and well, they were terrorizing the community, actually. There was about 30 neighbors up front, and about 10 neighbors were in my yard, and so Dave was making gestures at him, and so they turned on the siren. And so they ended up landing because they'd gotten 150 plants from a neighbor, and they dropped them on my property, and then they had a truck come in and chop the roots off them, load them in the truck, and take them off.
On your property?
Yep, right on my property, and we got
Wow.
pictures. Do you got the pictures on it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You guys are welcome to take a look
But
at
I
it.
don't know if you can see. Look, here's the police hauling the marijuana away.
Let's show it.
I don't know if the camera can see it, but you can see the police.
Oh, wow.
See them hauling the marijuana away?
Oh, show it to the people on TV.
And this is my property up here in Fern Acres.
But the other thing that Mike was in full compliance with the law. Mike hadn't violated any laws. They did not have permission to land in his yard. They had no probable cause that he had committed any crime and no search warrant. And they did this they said they investigated 56 medical marijuana patients because they were medical marijuana patients, and they actually went in and questioned 30 medical marijuana patients, and they found that all of them were in compliance with the law except for 2 that had a couple of plants over. The thing about it is they were targeted because they were medical patients. These are people that are very sick, and there's no probable cause, no search warrants, and these are military SWAT teams, fully armed people rappelling out of helicopters into your yard, landing in your yard, and it's a pretty scary thing if you haven't ever been through it. It's a SWAT team type of thing, and you don't have any choice. If you resist, they will kill you.
What do you mean they'll kill you?
They will shoot you if you resist. I mean, I was told I would be shot when they did a raid on my house, and I was naked. I didn't have any clothes on when they came in, and I was standing there naked, and I asked to put my clothes on, and Officer John Weber said he would shoot me if I moved, and they made me stand there naked.